What's going on, guys? Welcome in, welcome back. These messages ride in on the frequency of love for the highest good. Take what resonates, leave what does not. There's a channel that's wanting to come through really strong here. I feel like I was feeling into the collective energy around shame. I want to tell you how I get to these places right from the top, because it's not like I'm just saying random shit. So it's feeling into the energy of shame, okay? Because there's like a collective energy here that like came up something somewhere. Again, take what resonates, leave what does not. There's like shame here for someone in this collective around like feeling like misunderstood or a misperception somehow, like wrong, okay? Someone feels like they did something wrong. And the energy coming through here is you didn't do anything wrong. No one's, here's what it is. You've never done anything wrong. No one has ever done anything wrong, ever. This is what I'm going to get into right now. This is what the channel today is going to be around. I love this. This is why this is coming through. And I'm actually glad I took a little, like, breather to let the energy kind of dissipate and, like, almost permeate and separate itself so I could start to see, like, what this is. Because genuinely, if you think about anyone in any given circumstance, like, it reminds me of this meme. It's like, you know, it's like the night sky, the middle of the galaxy or whatever, and it's like, you are here, points to like the tiniest little speck, wondering if you acted weird, you know? And so the idea that you could ever possibly mess up anything that was not divinely guided and for the highest good, someone here needs to be let off the hook. Someone here needs to let themselves off the hook, is what I'm hearing. There's shame around someone feeling like they were either like minimized or something, their process, maybe their feelings somehow, or they felt like they minimized someone else's feelings. That's what I think it might be too here for sure. Like that's definitely the other side of this. That's, I think, where this is like really truly coming from, is the shame of feeling misunderstood, like feeling like someone somewhere misperceived you somehow. And there's a shame coming up around that because you ultimately want what's best for the world. People who come to this type of work. Now, let me just clarify this too. Take what resonates, leave what does not. I will not be sending this message to anyone who's actually done anything that like is, you know, irreprehensible or whatever, is that the word? You know what I mean? Anything that's really fucked up. That's more my speed and, you know, that's more my grammar. Anyone who's done anything that's like truly heinous and fucked up and like not willing to own their shit, like this message is not for you. People who own their stuff are able to feel this shame, you know, and like they wanna right the wrong, and this is what this message is coming through. I'm genuinely here from like the energy here that's coming through is that no one who has the intention of love in order to like make a loving connection or have like a good time or make a friend or be a good person in the world could ever possibly do anything wrong. Now, do our curriculums bump up against each other and misperceptions happen? Like one person's light might shine over another's, or there's a misperceived perception, there's a miscommunication, a green light, and then like, you know, years later it's a red light. I mean, these things you see it all the time. This is just nature unfolding. So the idea that if everything's happening for the highest good, that there's shame here that can be worked through and like pulled up and like looked at here, I think could be like really a beautiful thing. Like this is what it's for. This is what this is why the shame had to come forward this week, is because we had to work through it. You see, it's all for the highest good, no matter what. And if we can work through these things intentionally and consistently, then we work toward creating a more intentional and connected world around us, and we can get through anything. We can let anything go. We can apologize, or we can, you know, not apologize, or we can just surrender to the idea that like people can perceive moments in 2 different, 3 different, 5 different, 8 different, 931 billion different ways. You know, it's like there are so many different ways to perceive the moment given on what anyone anywhere has been through, and it's like hard to know when you're in a given circumstance what like anyone has kind of been through that's led them into the moment where they're at, right? And so I think that it brings up shame because we all want to be so compassionate for one another here, and then we all want to like come off well, but we're also like hypersensitive. Okay, this is for the highest good. Spirit's coming through here. I feel like the energy here through is like connection. This is like a connecting force today. This is not something that like a combative thing. Like the energy that's coming through here today is like one of harmony, of like infinite, of like soulful like connection. This is not anything nefarious that I'm seeing transform into anything negative. This is something I'm seeing actually transform into something that's more cohesive, this energy that I'm looking at. You know, because if this is an opportunity, like let's say one person experiences the shame and then like you're not even aware of how the other person experienced anything, you know? And so it's kind of like we wanna open that up. Okay, risk. So there's someone's like risking. This feels, hold on. Definitely when the risk card comes forward, I always feel that like the vulnerable heart opening thing, because I'm like, it feels so risky to like expose yourself, right? And like just like say what it is and be connected to the energy and speak to what's happening in the moment, and then also when to let the energy like dissipate and settle and space out and, you know, kind of like reorganize itself. Because again, like maybe people aren't even like really, I think that like genuinely people like want to heal, but they don't always like it's not like our world really like incentivizes. Here it is, fear is coming forward. So it's not like our world really incentivizes like the idea that the only thing we each of us have to do is like to set ourselves free is to risk exactly that. Like to just trust spirit, to like risk to open up your heart, move through the fear and like create a deeper connection, you know? And I think that like there can be an energy of like avoidance around that. Literally my ear is ringing right now. My left ear just is ringing so loud right now. It just stopped. That was so weird. The king. Oh my gosh. So whenever anything like that tinges in my ear, I definitely think that like a deeper connection has gone on here or something, right? Like, so remember the energy of like the benevolent king, right? This is someone who cares about like the people, and they're like the benevolent king is not even like wanting to be a ruler, right? The benevolent king is someone who has to like kind of sacrifice their like heart on the floor. Okay, and then the mother comes through here too, and then the mentor. These are like three really crazy archetypes to come through right now. Okay, this feels like a really balanced divine masculine, divine feminine energy here with the mother, and then the mentor. Now, maybe I can dig into that a little bit, because I think that that would be interesting to look at. Mother's literally the first card of the archetype, and I would like to read that first. Okay, so maybe there's some energy here that will like resonate with you, that you can kind of unearth around like this shame and kind of accepting this and like moving through it for yourself, and maybe even understanding that like, you know, possibly like that spirit or just the energy that had to move up and out could dissipate into a way that like is like healing for you in a way that might ripple into your life like in like a totally different direction. Like this isn't even energy that like it's going to dissipate, and like energy has to kind of move around, but time is so elusive as well that like I feel like there's no rush here. I feel like this is a really slow, calm, easeful thing. Like this is not anything to actually fear. Like the fear I'm hearing is a misperception. I didn't really touch on that too. You see how he's just reaching through the fear? Like it's just this thing where it's like whoosh, whoosh. It's not real. Like we can connect, we can create the connective tissue and align these conversations, or like with a heart space like of like honesty, and just own every part of it, and then like also like give everybody the dignity and the grace of their own curriculum, like their life curriculum, their spiritual curriculum. Like, they deserve that. Like, each of us deserve that. And so, like, you're the type of person that empowers others to, like, go do that. Like, always, no matter what, you know, no matter what it is that you, like, perceive in a moment, or like in a momentary, I don't know, like whatever the shame is that comes up, like you still underneath the shame, like, I think the shame, that's what I mean, like, just shame is just colored by this need to do right, this feeling to do right, like this desire to, like, just to be a good person. And then, like, when it's misperceived, you're like, that's why it's crushing. If you didn't have a desire to, like, be a good person in the world and contribute positively, then you wouldn't even have shame, you know what I mean? You would have no shame. And that's not who you are. Like, that's not who you are. The Great Mother, the feminine, the source. We begin our archetypal story with the mother's love. Through her sensual, fertile, and life-giving energy, all creation takes form. Regardless of our birth story, each of our hearts beat for the first time in the warm womb of the mother, where she offered resources from her body for the building of her own. I mean, our own. So the mother offered the body to build our bodies, right? Especially on the earthly plane, she contains both light and a dark aspect of the feminine. With the best of intentions, the mother wraps her loving arms around her creations and begins to grip what she meant to set free. Whoa. Yeah, dude. The mother both nurtures and prohibits growth. She gives yet clings. She creates yet restricts. Amid this complex energy, the mother holds the key to the eternal challenge of love. This could be for a mother here today. I mean, and the reason I say that is because I just feel that heartbreak as I say it, like, because it's like, yeah, and I've heard this before, you know, articulated to me so beautifully. 12-12 on the timer, maybe 12s are significant for someone here. That there's this constant growth of your child, and like that's also a constant grief, because as they grow they get further away, right? So it's the same way that, like, the polarity of the energy, when you misperceive a moment and you have shame come up when you meant to be a good person, it's like that polarity of things, it's the energy that's getting mixed up and mixed around. And how beautiful, and also how difficult, and like literally heartbreaking. Like, it feels heartbreaking to even have to feel that, like, pull away from like the thing that you, like, created, I guess, if this is for a mother today. And I get that there would be shame in that too, because it's like, how could, and I, like, mean this, of course they could, but if you actually think about it, how could your child possibly love you as much as you love them? If, you know what I mean? Like, because you saw them, like, you saw them in your, before anything. Yeah, glowing, generative, creative, nurturing. And then that also, that need to, like, kind of, that's so interesting here, like, wraps her loving arms around her creations and begins to grip what she meant to set free. So there's some control here, possibly, for someone, that, like, like a controlling, the perception of self created the shame, is what I'm hearing. So simplifying, I think, and, like, calming, and, like, letting that dissipate. And I think, like, kind of just being more vulnerable with yourself, and seeing, like, who that is, right? And then becoming so good with that there's absolutely, like, no reason that you would never need to kind of, I don't want to say perform, but yeah, like, perform to some degree. Yeah, you know, like, we've got a lot of performers in the building here, and you know, I'll never forget, like, some of the first things I ever learned in my acting classes and stuff was, like, how to not perform, how to just be like present, literally. Sorry, okay, King. The ruler, the commander, the emperor. If our lives are imagined as a kingdom containing the entire spectrum of the human experience, the king presides over it all. Through the lens of the king, we assess the state of our land, make decisions, and rule accordingly. Therefore, the king must be thoroughly and regularly vetted as to avoid corruption. Recognize the dual nature of the king. He is either seated in benevolence and strength, guiding you toward peace, or he is oppressing the weak out of a need to control. There is not much middle ground. Some think of the king as the ultimate expression of the ego, yet the great kings of mythology and the histories serve from the egoless place. They take their throne with grace and humility, knowing the divine uses them as a channel to heal deep and long-lasting discrepancies in the kingdom. The divine uses them as a channel. And the first card that first card that came in this reading was Spirit. Got the Mentor here. So there's two elements here of control I was feeling into, right? When I was reading into that, right? The mother, the king. You got to be vetting yourself no matter what, like internally as well. So even when you're controlling the perception of yourself, confirmation, I guess that would be considered like a toxic masculine or a toxic feminine like energy. Right here. Come on now. I think that though the energy that you've never done anything wrong is so present though from the top, like, and I want to really make that clear because you have that intention as the benevolent king. Now the benevolent king, benevolent queen, the mother, the father, like they're fucking, like the mother and the father are literally children trying to raise babies. You know what I mean? So like they're gonna fuck up, they're gonna make mistakes, and they have to be able to give themselves grace too, you know? It's like not just being able to be like let off the hook or whatever because somebody said like, no, you're good, like everything's okay, you're good. Like you have to learn how to let yourself off the hook, I think, for someone here as well. Like, and this self-forgiveness practice, I think, is gonna be really important. There's a teacher, there's something you're here to learn. So the teacher, the sage, the guru, it is said that the cosmic knowledge pours down onto the world like a great illuminated waterfall. This can be an overwhelming force. The true teacher, though, is said to be able to hold this flow of wisdom at bay while the student sips from the focused stream. Wow. The mentor archetype has a gift for the reading of the room, for sensing the exact ingredient that will stimulate growth within the student, whether pleasant or painful. The mentor will appear aloof or unavailable, harsh or tender, humorous or rigid. Their gift is to know what serves the soul. I saw 1818 when I looked up. Ultimately, the mentor is in service of the greater cosmic good and aids in the elevation of consciousness. Anytime the mentor forgets this humble link and mistakes themselves for the source of enlightenment, the archetype falls into the shadow. Focus, clear, bright, remains a student. You are a constant student. Keep in mind how easy it is to project power onto another. Someone here needs to remember that. Remember that you may be projecting power onto someone. Yeah. When you have the power. 1919 on the timer. The expression feet of clay and cult of personality exist for a reason. So maybe Google that. I'm not sure what that means. Feet of clay, cult of personality. Although it's typically true that parents are our eternal teachers, the child will eventually seek a mentor figure outside of the home to assist in their growth. Maybe that's significant for someone. Ow, jeez. I'm very pleased to tell you that you've never done anything wrong in your entire life. You have a heart of pure intention, beautiful, like just gold, immaculate inner light. It's pouring out of you at all times, even in the moments when you feel shamed. Remember that, like, the energy of the mentor, the energy of the king, the energy of the mother, they all have these energies of darkness. And so just keep in mind your own qualities of shame are 2020 on the timer, are like qualities of fear, and this is like the quality of a dark energy that seizes to pull you down, this fear. And it's up to you and your curriculum to ascend through that fear and become the mentor for yourself, become the person that you were grown to be, to become, you know. And I think at the end there too, like the very end, it said something about like you like branch outside the home or something like that when you are a mentor, or to find a mentor or some shit like that, like going out into the world and like discovering who you truly are and like moving through the fear, maybe for someone here. Alright, I'm gonna leave it there. You've never done anything wrong. You're perfect. So you're exonerated. But seriously, self-forgiveness will set you free, okay? You're forgiving. You forgive yourself for the misperception that you've ever done anything wrong ever in your entire life. You're perfect. You're amazing. You're healing. You're growing. You're learning. And you're flying. So I saw 2121. So. Alright, guys. Thanks for being here for another reading. I hope to see you in another one very soon.